Hello everybody, welcome to the American Horror Story Freak Show, uh, episode 10, episode entitled Orphans. Let's read the description they give you. Desiree grows suspicious of Maggie while Pepper exhibits troubling behavior. Um, let's get into it. Sorry about that light, let me get my fat head in the way. There we go. Um, this was a really sad episode. It starts off with Salty. Salty died in his sleep, which is the male pinhead, Pepper's actual husband. Um, didn't say how he died. He died in his sleep. Apparently, pinheads don't make it to their 40s usually. That's what they said. Sorry for the phone noise. Um, so yeah, he died, and they get into the backstory of Pepper. There's like a Pepper heavy episode. Um, kind of funny, Salty and Pepper, Salt, Pepper. Um, So Pepper was Elsa's first monster, she calls him. She's the first one she adopted. Run into her own freak show. They got into her past a little bit. Again, she was in her own type of freak show without the freaks, really. Just like a little bit of freaks. Talking about back in the day, uh, the Hitler days in the 30s, and she didn't speak enough English, so she was just on the chorus. Then she started her own. She adopted Pepper, who got left by her sister in the orphanage. Um, so Pepper's pretty much been abandoned her whole life. Everyone she loved like abandoned her, and turns out like that in the end as well for her. This episode was really sad. Um, so they show her as a young pinhead playing with the blocks, and Elsa plays with the blocks with her, and then she wanted to adopt her then, but they waited till Pepper was 18, just in case she changed her mind. Um, and then the second uh, monster or freak um, is Maputit. She was actually owned by a Indian slave, like a rich prince Indian slave, owned by the British. And that part was actually kind of funny. When she tried to buy her Maputit, when else tried to buy Maputit or like bargain for her, they said no, that they can't put a price on her, and she gave him a Dr. Pepper, like a Dr. Pepper, just in a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and he loved it and traded her Maputit for 3 cases of Dr. Pepper. Um, like that's crazy. Um, then Desiree, no, not then. Um, then it gets into Pepper treated Wapiti like a baby, like her child, because she had maternal needs and everything. You know, she's still a woman. And, and then she found Salty. She got him from the boys' orphanage. And they found love at first sight type of thing, got married. They had an actual wedding that they showed on like an old school camera type thing, which was pretty cool. And so yeah, and then he died in his sleep. What's his name? Richard, as they call him, Stanley. He ends up chopping off Salty's head and signing it to the museum, and gives Pepper like a urn with ashes. Is what I saw that what they were going for, with cigarette ash in it. Like they cremated the body but didn't. And Desiree was reading her a poem or like a book, like a happy book, and Dell walks in and says it's beautiful because it was like nice, like she's being motherly towards her, and they have a little conversation about how he was wrong and how he did basically like he wants to save their marriage kind of, but she says that she could never really make him happy, so like they're both gonna get a better shot at happiness. And secretly, I guess she already has a new boyfriend, which shows up later. Him and Desiree go into Maggie's tent and ask for their fortune. And she says they'll be good and get a white house with a white picket fence. He's a traveling salesman, door to door, like floor cleaner or something like that. I forgot the details. Um, but then she says it all goes sour for everybody. They get pissed, leave. They're both Christians, type of deal. And um, then what happened? They got into Maggie starts drinking. Everyone's like a drunk in this episode, or this like half of the like part of the series. Um, she's drinking out of a flask, and she ends up spilling the beans about her and Stanley to Desiree, who they've been working a con for a long time, and it goes back into Maggie as a young, or appeared to be young, and she did the old paper paper routine like they used to do, like sending papers to people. But they made her look like a boy, and she would pickpocket people. A cop caught her, and Stanley like saved her from the cop type of deal, and then brought her in at 10, 10 cents on the dollar or something, which back then is a lot of money, especially to a kid with no family. So that's their side of the story, and then when she's sober, Desiree, also known as the three-breasted woman, is trying to make a pot roast because her family or her mom taught all her sisters to cook except for her. And Maggie talks to her, and they end up going to the museum where Stanley's selling all the bodies, or before that actually. Um, Bet and Dot go into her tent when she's still drinking and wasted, and they end up giving her the surgery money instead of go get Jimmy a real lawyer. And they're having like a back and forth in their head. Like Bet wanted the Decker because she was being a bitch, and they end up throwing like the envelope full of money at her, and say you do right by Jimmy, and like, they got real stern and serious. So her and Desiree end up going to the museum, and they see Bon Appetit in a jar. They see Salty's head in a jar. And then they reveal the newest attraction, and it ends up being Jimmy's lobster hands. And Maggie actually faints. And then it goes to a commercial, and it comes back to Jimmy in jail talking to Stanley, or Richard as he knows him. And he asks him if he did it, and he says he doesn't know because he blacked out. He remembered being at the house, but then it's blank. And he says he couldn't have done it. So then he talks to him about getting him a lawyer, an expensive lawyer. And Jimmy has no money, he says. And he says, well, what about those estate? Which is like, well, what about your mom? Didn't she leave you anything? She didn't leave him anything. And then he pointed at Jimmy and he's like, I got an idea, maybe, on how we could get the money. And then it reveals his lobster hands in the jar when Maggie and Desiree are there. So Stanley chopped off um, Jimmy's hands, which he wanted the whole time. And then it goes back to Pepper. Um, she had a sister, and they worried that Pepper might kill herself because, her sister abandoned her. Elsa took her. She met Salty. Malkati died. Then Salty died too. So they talk her sister. Elsa convinced her sister to take her in, and her husband's gonna freak out and all that stuff. And she kisses Pepper on the hand, take care, and says, "Put it to your face if you're ever lonely, and I'll be there. You feel me?" And this is really cool because Pepper was in American Horror Story Asylum, which is my favorite season, and they show how she ended up there, and it's really messed up because her sister always wanted children but never had any kids, and then she ended up having a kid in her 50s, and basically she felt no connection to the kid because he was a freak or mutated or deformed or something. They never showed the baby. They said he was deformed. So Pepper ended up taking care of the baby. She's holding him and feeding him with a bottle. The sisters are drunk because Elsa says that Pepper knows how to make some cocktails, and so she ends up making her martinis. She's taking care of the baby the whole time. Apparently, her husband had like a thing for Pepper a little bit, but not really. Um, that part kind of confused me because she says like, "Oh, anything to get a time alone with her," and then he says like, "Some women just shouldn't have kids." So they end up, or he ends up, chopping off the ears of the baby and like framing Pepper that she did it, and then they end up. She ends up talking. The sister ends up talking to the nun, and she tells her the story about how Pepper killed the baby, how like never let her out, and they show Pepper in the room, and she's just like hitting her head on the wall like this, but like there's the wall, she's like hitting her head on the wall, crying, and this is where it gets kind of cool. The nun sees in her eyes that she's really a pure soul, and she's like extremely sad because the baby died, or that they killed the baby, and she's all alone again. And then she takes her to like the library type of thing, and she has her organize the magazines, Life here, National Geographic here, African British Digest here. So she's doing that, and she stops on one of the Life ones, and like puts her hand on it to her face, and you see a tear slide on her face, and it shows the magazine, and it says Elsa Mars still rules Friday nights, 1958, and it showed a picture of her. So Elsa really does make it on television. So I'm interested. There is a few more episodes. I don't know exactly how many more. I think there's one for Christmas Eve, but that's kind of weird. But hey, I'll watch it. Oh, or what that? Yeah, that is. If there's a episode next week, I'll watch it. I'll review it. It will be on here. Thanks for watching. This was an amazing episode. This season's getting really good. It started off a little slow in the beginning, but now it's getting real good. Um, Check it out, dude. All the previous seasons are on Netflix. Check them out. This is one of my favorite series on TV. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for making this point. Subscribe if you want, or just search for me. Like it if you want. Peace.